Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Oh, yeah, there we go. I'm glad you found it, Stone. Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, May 18th. Today is National Visit Your Relatives Day, International Museum Day, National HIV Vaccine Awareness Day, National Dirty Dishes Day, and you know Gretchen got some dirty dishes because she cooks so much. And, of course, it's National Cheese Souffle Day. Are you going to make a cheese souffle, Gretchen? Anyway.
No.
Thank you for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. Use that fancy little QR code right there in the top-hand corner of your screen to find out where we live on the internet, and we're live every Monday through Friday on YouTube and audio only on Clubhouse. And if you are joining us in Clubhouse, you can also participate in the show by raising your hand if you have a brief comment on the story most recently presented. Gretchen, I do hear a buzzing. It's coming from you, I think, every time you unmute.
Suck it.
Yeah, you're still quiet.
Is it definitely me?
No, I don't hear it now. We're rolling. We're going. You're good now. Whatever you did, you fixed it.
What was that response you had?
The settings since you guys had me cranked to the max.
What'd you tell Jason just a second ago?
I don't know.
To suck it?
We got Gretchen cranked.
Is that allowed in the first 10 minutes? Suck it?
That's allowed in the first 10 minutes. Yeah, that's not.
It's not a swear word.
Not a swear word.
Stone Slade is acknowledging that that's the right thing to do. I see him nodding his head up and down. So Jason Beck, suck it.
It's all good to go. The first 10 minutes.
Yeah, suck it. Suck it.
Yeah,
we're gonna kick it off with the dope dad himself. That's right, who loves to sing. Just suck it, apparently.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's the dope dad himself. That's right. Quasimodo's little
Quasimodo.
Yeah, your little baby. You know what I'm saying? Baby, whatever his name, Baby Yoda. Oh yes, the dope dad himself, Rico Lamitte.
All right. Thank you, Jason. Thank you. All right, so my story is coming out of New York, where there's always some drama. As we are, Jason's gonna love this one, and I hope Sean Kiernan, if he is in the audience, he can join us for a little comment on this too, because it involves veterans and CANY, the Cannabis Association of New York State, and a little drama that's brewing up between them and priority given to ex-cons as far as giving out licenses. So New York's premier cannabis industry trade group actually removed an advocate who is Carmine Fiore, and he is a FDNY emergency medical tech, served in the Army from 2008 to 2016, and up until last week, he was also CNY's Veterans Committee chairman. He said that he was ousted from the post as a punishment for openly accusing Governor Kathy Hochul's administration discriminating against disabled vets and prioritizing what he calls convicted drug felons when awarding licenses. In an interview with the New York Post, Fiore said that it was direct retaliation for complaining about the lack of cannabis licenses given to veterans, and it's a position that they did not like at all. He says that although New York's Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act Action Act of 2021 reserved half of all pot sale licenses for groups such as former marijuana convicts, veterans, and women. So far, ex-cons and their kin, his words, have gotten the lion's share, and only criminal applicants have been allowed to apply. A few days after the post published and quoted Fiore, he says that CANY suspended his email and access to the trade group's internal network without warning. He then went on to say that the whole ordeal is an effort to silence veterans. While Fiore seems to have been the first to speak up on CANY's growing internal rift, other members of the Veterans Committee are now doing the same, and several wrote letters to CANY leadership objecting to Fiore's removal as the Vets Panel chairman. Committee member William Nogard wrote in a letter addressed to CANY President Alan Gandelman and Livingston, "It's my position that Carmine has drawn valuable attention to veterans' cannabis issues that others were unwilling to or unable to address." Statements of Fiore's comments to the post were statements of fact that veterans are being overlooked and passed over in the OCM licensure process. The article likely embarrassed some of the people because it shed light on certain biases that are in violation of the letter of the law as per the MRTA, end quote. Per the article, in a May 16 letter to vet committee members Leila Zubi and Cannabis Association's general counsel does not explicitly say why Fiore was bounced as the chairman of the Vets panel. She said CANY's mission statement requires the group's advocacy to be restorative, sustainable, and inclusive, and with a united voice, and must remain a trusted, reliable, and ethical leader in the cannabis industry. And I'm sure the full truth of what happened here will come to light at some point, and it's a shame CANY decided to handle things the way that they did, if this is in fact true. Censorship and the silencing of voices in dissent, in my personal opinion, is never a good way to operate in the land where the First Amendment, I think, should never be compromised. However, CNY is a private organization, and if they choose to maneuver in this fashion, that's their choice. I think what the gentleman, this disgruntled veteran here should do, like start up another organization, period. Here in California, I don't know, Jason, like how many of these organizations have come and gone over the last 7-8 years? Like countless, right? And if they're doing stuff like this to censor you, to silence you for openly criticizing the people that are in power, which I think should be done, doesn't matter if you're on the right or the left, then look elsewhere, start a new organization, and put these guys out of business. That's just my take on it. I'd love to hear what everybody else has to say on this. I'm Rico Lamitte, dopest dad on the street for High at 9 News.
Oh man. So are they're not calling this guy a whistleblower? I mean,
on a small scale, a small W, yes.
Yes. I mean, he's saying straight up, he's like, hey, these licenses are only going out to criminals. Otherwise, these are all people that are somehow related to the governor's office.
Yeah, but this is not whistleblowing. We knew all the first licenses were going to criminals, so I don't get what the beef is.
But the other part is criminal or family members.
Right. That was already speculated. We already knew that was happening.
We knew it was going to happen. Like it is what it is on that front. I think start a new organization. That's just my thoughts on it. There's several other organizations. There's several other lanes that can and should be filled. And if CANY decides to ride or die on everything that Kathy Hochul and her crew are putting out in their statements, and they want to stand behind all these photo ops that aren't really doing much for the industry, start something else.
Just photo ops with no purchases, right, Rico?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Start another one and put these guys in the dirt.
I do think it's pretty shameful. I mean, in reality, I think other people that should be prioritized are the disabled people and veterans, definitely, because veterans fought for this country, for us to be able to have the freedoms that we do have in this country. So that would fall under the freedom of being able to consume cannabis if you choose to do so or not. Although the federal government doesn't acknowledge that, they need to get their stuff in line also.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with what you're saying there, Jason. However, I do believe, my personal belief is the ex-convicts with cannabis convictions, I think they should be at the front of the list.
I didn't say to exclude them. I'm just saying that it needs to be a more inclusionary list. Okay, because the disabled people, cannabis was built on the backs of the disabled.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying I agree.
Every single program, there's not a single state that has acknowledged the disabled at all. Not a single state.
How about this? If we want to split hairs, like how about this? The disabled folks and the folks in the medical community, they should have priority to medical licensing. Period. They should have priority to medical licensing.
There's no money.
People who were convicted for cannabis, had cannabis convictions in the past, they should have priority to adult use.
So if you're question,
cannabis conviction, then you're even moved more to the front of the line.
I think you should.
Okay. All right. I can get behind that.
Yeah. I agree with you, Rico. People that have been negatively affected by this plant, this industry is making a lot of money. People that have been affected by the way the government handled this plant leading up till now deserve to be in the front of the line. I 100% agree with that. I agree with you too, Jason, that veterans have a place and the disabled have a place. I don't agree with how it sounded, the way he described the people that are getting it as criminals. I don't agree with that. I also don't agree with the guy losing his job over speaking his mind. You know, that's something it's America. We're supposed to be able to speak our mind and work out our differences.
Right.
However, the people that have been affected by this plant because of the nonsense from our government definitely deserve in every state to be in the front of the line.
And he has a legitimate gripe. And I don't want to minimize that at all. He has a legitimate gripe there. And I think the problem is the overgeneralization that the Hochul administration put out in the MRTA. They're saying that, disabled veterans, people with past convictions and women's groups, just like putting that blanket statement out there and no prioritization, and you're showing favoritism. That's a legitimate gripe. And they should have put, like, we're going to go with these first, those second, these third. As far as prioritization, you wouldn't have the problem that they're having right now.
Mm-hmm. Question.
Be specific.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, please, Gretchen.
I've been waiting. I don't want to interrupt. I don't want to upset anybody here on the show. My question is, has any state prioritized veterans at all? Have they been prioritized anywhere?
No, and I think it's the best path forward if you want to be heard on the highest of levels. I think like all of these minority groups, the women groups, everybody else, I think they should be in alignment with the veterans, because if the quickest way to get a Democrat and a Republican to agree on something is say that it affects the veterans. Everybody wants to ride for the vets.
It's funny. Sean from Weed for Warriors says in here, he says legal cannabis is absolutely anti-veteran.
And I've heard that from Sean. I've heard it from multiple veterans in this space. A lot of my close friends from across the industry have said the same exact thing.
You got some.
I don't see how anybody can go against veterans and their initiatives and their causes. It's just, that is the most American thing, that we can meet in the middle. Cannabis and vets, we can ride for both of those. So anybody who's going against those, like this guy is CANY, like, dude, like start up a new lane, start up a new organization, put these guys out of the conversation.
Well, Sean in the chat, he's saying that the politicians are basically just doing lip service, because he's saying that they'll agree with you and then they do nothing behind the scenes afterwards. Mm-hmm. And so maybe I think this guy needs to get a hold of Sean and get a hold of Weed for Warriors and get into some activism in regards to, and maybe, who knows, maybe they can even go over to Michigan and find all that missing money too, that $40 million.
Oh yeah, the new Bash Brothers.
Yeah, exactly.
I need Sean Kiernan and Carmine Fiore to have two microphones to silence all of the haters out there and bring them the motherfucking heat that we.
Oh yeah, but we got to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back. That was spice, Rico.
So spicy.
Oh yeah, you know what time it is. That's right. It's Tuesday over here at Green Street, and we got Smoky Vanilla with us in the building. So that's right. It is time to stretch and smoke. We just got done smoking. Now we're going to stretch it out, and then we're going to smoke again.
Let's go. I'm Smoky Vanilla with my background in kinesiology and bodywork massage and assisted stretching. You got to come check it out, baby. Check me out on IG at Smoky Vanilla 1, Stretch and Smoke. Twitter, Smoky Vanilla. Social Club, Stretch and Smoke. We're also on Sports Recovery by Dan and Jam.
If you want to feel as good as I look, then make sure that you get a stretch and smoke in with Smoky Vanilla.
Yeet!
Up next, we have the industry's longest continuously operating retailer, West Hollywood's president of cannabis tourism, and Smoky Vanilla's muse. Coming to the stage, it is Jason Beck.
Oh, yeah, Rico. Good morning, everybody. Oh, man, we were talking a lot about Oregon yesterday, and you know what? Oregon is still in the news, okay? And guess what they're talking about now after all of our conversations yesterday with all about Oregon? Well, Oregon is to withhold cannabis retail licenses for unpaid taxes, everybody. That's right. Oregon Governor Tina Kotek announced this week that cannabis retailers must pay state taxes or regulators won't issue or renew their licenses. The directive, which will be carried out by the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission and the Oregon Department of Revenue, will affect more than 820 licenses annually that will need to meet tax compliance, according to a news release issued on Tuesday. In a quote, "This will help ensure that all businesses are operating under the same rules and not getting any competitive advantage if they haven't paid their taxes," Kotek, a Democrat, said in a statement. According to data from the Revenue Department, cannabis retailers have a higher non-compliance rate in Oregon for payment of taxes, 9%, than any other tax programs administered by the department, which is normally at 3%. Oregon law allows regulators to take action against companies that fail to pay their taxes when it comes to the issuances of some licenses, the execution of contracts, or appointments to a board or commission. The OLCC, according to a news release, will add a tax compliance tool to its application and renewal process for cannabis retailers by requiring licenses or applicants to provide a tax compliance certificate from the Revenue Department. Reining in unpaid taxes has been a challenge for the cannabis regulators elsewhere. In California, the Department of Tax and Fee Administration last year started ramping up enforcement against unlicensed and licensed cannabis companies, which at the time owed the state nearly $200 million in unpaid taxes. Efforts to collect unpaid taxes in the world's largest cannabis market have included launching raids and auctioning off seized properties. That's seized properties, not to be confused with seized properties. High taxes, according to industry executives and analysts, have crushed licensed cannabis businesses in California while providing a huge advantage to underground operators who skirt taxes and other regulatory requirements. Well, what do you guys think about this? Is Oregon really on the right path by basically telling the cannabis retailers that we're basically not going to renew your license if you don't pay your taxes on time? And on top of it, now you're probably going to have to purchase this tax certificate because you know the government doesn't give anything for free. But that's just speculation on whether or not they're going to charge for that tax certificate. I just know that it's a Democrat-controlled state, so I expect them to have a surcharge for that as well because of that. And this is Jason Beck reporting for the High at 9 News Hour. What do y'all think about that?
Taxation is theft.
Are they pulling liquor licenses for folks that are not paying their taxes there? Are they doing open audits there? That's what I want to know.
The article didn't reference anything like that, Rico.
Or are they just targeting cannabis entrepreneurs here?
Oh, they're strictly targeting cannabis.
My money is on that. This move is really to help weed out, no pun intended, the industry there. They got too many folks, too much cannabis. So they're trying to find ways to not issue so many licenses. This is them trying to clean up the state. This is not them really caring about the tax revenue.
You think they're trying to clean up the state?
I think they're trying, yes, to get fewer license holders in the state
I disagree.
to help with the glut of cannabis coming out of there.
I would agree with you if it was affecting all cannabis licenses, but the article seems to reference that they're only talking about retailers, not cultivators or manufacturers or distributors.
Well, that makes zero sense. Why would they only target
I
retail?
agree with that too, Gretchen. I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, whatever. Regardless, you're a cannabis business with a license. You got to pay your taxes.
I agree.
I don't understand why that's so difficult for people to understand in this industry.
I agree with you, but at the same time, we are grossly overtaxed, and I do believe that a lot of people should.
I understand, but that's not a defense in a court of law. Oh, they taxed me too much, so I'm not going to pay them.
The government's not a court of law either. And if it was,
can I pick a bone with Gretchen?
If this was,
I can't wait, Nickolas Wildstar.
If this was being adjudicated by a judge, I think we would be having a different conversation, Gretchen. But it's
okay. Well, I'm saying that's the next step. These people are going to court next.
Selective outrage. What you got, Governor?
So why do you think, Gretchen, that it's necessary for a business to have to pay an extortion fee, because that's pretty much what taxes are, just to operate a business?
That's how this country works. I don't understand why all of a sudden people are like,
oh
my gosh,
this is supposed
no
to be
taxes. I don't want to pay taxes. I don't want to. I want zero infrastructure. I don't want schools. I don't want healthcare. I don't want anything. No more taxes. No more taxes. Yes.
No
Let's go
more
for anarchy. Great.
There are states in our country that do not tax for sales, that do not have a business tax, that do not have a property tax. Unfortunately, California is one of those states that has all of the above.
Every single one of those.
But
yes, there are plenty of states like that, Nickolas Wildstar. However, they have set up their taxation programs to deal with that, so they cannot have those taxes.
The problem with this in particular is Jason is saying is that they're taxing businesses that have a license and saying that if you don't pay your taxes, we're going to take away your license.
And why is that bad?
Because they're still legitimate businesses. They're just refusing to pay this fee that the government is saying that they need to pay just to stay in operation. The customers aren't complaining about, the services that they're providing. It's simply the government saying, because you're not going to give us our cut, they're sitting there doing this shit. I mean, excuse my French, but that's simply all they're doing is, putting a line in front of these businesses saying, in order to cross, you must pay a fee.
Right.
That's not really cool.
All that they're really going to do.
All businesses have to pay taxes. I don't understand this argument.
I selective outrage.
Every business in every state, Gretchen.
Unfairly.
Are other industries being taxed the same way, though? Or are other being treated the same way? Not taxed the same way. We all know they're getting overtaxed. But are they being treated the same way? Are they telling other businesses, if you're late on your taxes, we're not renewing your license?
The article clearly states that cannabis is being singled out in regards to this because they're saying that the cannabis licenses have a 9% failure rate of paying taxes as opposed to traditional businesses that have a 3% failure rate of paying taxes.
I think, Gretchen, am I wrong by... I'm taking from your comments here that you said that they're weeding out the bad actors there. That
I'm not saying bad actors. I think they're trying to to thin out the herd. I think they're trying to thin out their industry.
Well, that's my point is that if they were trying to thin out the herd, they'd be trying to limit the amount of cultivation licenses because that's one of the reasons that cannabis is so cheap in Oregon is because they have given out so many of these cultivation licenses. And so the retail licenses isn't the problem that they're having in Oregon. It's all of the mass cultivation that they're doing that's drowning everybody in financial debt.
I would love, Jason Beck, for you to do a little more deep dive into the story and find out if it's truly just retailers that they're going after.
Well, according to the article,
homework assignment there. You see that? She's trying to give you a homework assignment, Jason. Are you going to do it?
It's not even Friday, and she's trying to give me homework over the weekend.
You're going to do it though.
I mean, I've already done it. I've already told you guys what I think about this. It's a catastrophe. These Democrats are always about overtaxation and no representation.
I know.
It is a selective outrage. Mm-hmm. And I'm just disappointed with your conservative views here, Gretchen. You're just like siding with the tax.
I'm not siding with the tax man, but I'm saying people go into business. I want a license. you have to pay taxes. Those are the rules. And all this industry is so outraged. This is just like Dale's story from yesterday, where the folks up in Humboldt are like, oh no, they want us to pay taxes now. Are you kidding me? This is how it works. You want a license, you want to be in the legal industry, you got to pay taxes.
Mm-hmm. And that's why the black market is prevailing, right?
Exactly. It's why it's flourishing. Guess how much taxes those guys are paying, Gretchen?
I understand that they are not paying their taxes. That is why they are not considered legitimate business.
They are paying taxes. They're paying taxes when they go and buy shit.
Yep, they're paying taxes every time they get rated.
Hold on.
You get rated, you use that product, that is the tax that you are paying.
Hold on. Nickolas, if they are in a state that does not charge sales tax, they are not paying a tax every time they make a purchase. So I'm going to have to push back on that just a little.
I like that.
Okay.
That's great.
All right. But
I bet you they're paying the property tax if they own a house or a car or something like that.
If they're
bet you they pay a luxury tax or something like that.
It's all these taxes, man.
Oh my God.
Everything is a tax.
What state? And I'm sorry. What state do you live in, Wildstar? You're in California. Is that right?
Yeah, and I believe in property rights, like our Constitution says, which includes our money, our cash, our wealth. That belongs to us.
Not to mention,
if anyone has a beef with taxes, it should be me, because I have taxation without representation. I got to pay taxes, but I got no one giving me a voice in Congress.
Exactly. It's all
bad. So if I understand the need to pay taxes, then I think the cannabis industry should understand the need to pay taxes.
I don't think the cannabis industry has a problem with paying taxes. We have a problem with gross overtaxation. And if we were taxed at a similar rate of other agricultural commodities, we could totally fall in line with that. But the reality is that we are taxed at every single part of the supply chain in pretty much every single state that we can operate in. And that is just a gross overtaxation, and something needs to be done immediately in regards to, because all of these politicians, and a majority of them are Democrats, in a lot of this over taxation going on across the country. And with that, we're going to go. Oh, you want to say something next, Gretchen?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
All right.
I understand all of these arguments. I got them. However, people got into this industry knowing the rules. They knew that they were going to be grossly overtaxed. They knew what was coming down the pike. So all of a sudden to care, and I'm being taxed too much. Now I'm not going to pay my taxes. Come on.
We're always fighting.
That's not how you fight for change.
It is for change.
But you don't have an argument when you look like a criminal to people.
Gretchen, this is why I told you that you should run for office here in California. You'd be a great Republican running for office because you are 100% pro-tax. They would love that.
Yeah. Well, coming up next, we have our favorite rhino Republican, Gretchen Gailey. She's the feisty redhead that loves to overtax the industry and overtax everybody else. She probably would have voted for Joe Biden's economic stimulus plan if she was in Congress. But nonetheless, she's the founder of Panoptic Strategies and our very own Washington Insider. Not to mention, I think we should make a tax for people that dress their dogs in clothes and absurd outfits. That's right. It's Gretchen Gailey.
Well, if they did come up with that tax, I would do my civic duty and pay it.
Crazily high, absurdly high. What if it was like $100 per outfit?
I can't help what Salem loves. Salem loves her outfits, so she gets what she wants. Mama takes care of Salem. I got to pay $100 to put her in a little outfit. She's going to get it. She's my princess.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, my headline is coming from Marijuana Moment. DEA official says new rules are coming for synthetic cannabinoids, including CBD and Delta-8 THC. The DEA will soon be proposing new rules to clarify that synthetically manufactured cannabinoids like Delta-8 THC are prohibited controlled substances. At the agency's 2023 supply chain conference earlier this month, Terrence Booz, chief of DEA's Drug and Chemical Evaluation Section, said that officials have received multiple petitions on the issue and are in the process of modifying our regulations on cannabis constituents based on recommendations from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. One change, Booz said in the speech, which was first noted by the law firm Vicente LLP, would be to decontrol CBD up to 0.1% THC on a weight-to-weight or weight-to-volume basis. Based on a slideshow presentation that accompanied the speech, it appears that he was referring to plans to deschedule synthetic CBD. Hemp-derived cannabinol that naturally produced is no longer regulated by DEA as long as the preparations it is contained in have no more than 0.3% THC by dry weight. Booz said that the intent of the forthcoming rulemaking will be to provide clarity and clear up confusion about the legal status of various cannabinoids since hemp and its derivatives were federally legalized under the 2018 Farm Bill. Since then, the market for cannabis products, including edibles and tinctures, has rapidly expanded, and the emergence of intoxicating cannabinoids like Delta-8 THC has prompted lawmakers in states across the country to enact a patchwork of regulations for the products. Delta-8 THC does occur naturally in cannabis in trace amounts, and the DEA has previously confirmed that those natural constituents are uncontrolled. But many products are being produced synthetically through a chemical process that converts CBD into Delta-8 THC. That is not allowed, Booz said, emphasizing that synthetic tetrahydrocannabinols were not exempted from the Controlled Substances Act, even though hemp and its naturally produced derivatives were legalized. The act of taking that substance in any synthetic step now brings it back under the CSA. A number of states have come up with regulatory responses. It's somewhat of a patchwork right now. Marijuana Moment reached out to the DEA for clarification, but a representative did not respond by the time of publication. Earlier this year, the DEA also clarified to an attorney that two cannabinoids that have emerged in state markets, Delta-8 THCO and Delta-9 THCO, do not meet the federal definitions of legal hemp and are therefore considered illegal controlled substances. The agency announced in 2020 that it had removed the prescription CBD medication Epidiolex from Schedule 5 of the CSA, fully descheduling the cannabis medication. Sean Hauser, a partner at Vicente LLP, who co-chairs the firm's hemp and cannabinoids department, told Marijuana Moment that it's important to keep in mind that the DEA has so far only issued an interim final rule to codify regulatory changes in response to hemp legalization under the 2018 Farm Bill. The DEA is doing this because they don't want to deal with this in the upcoming Farm Bill that is coming up this year. The industry desperately needs clarification on what is going on here. I would love to know what y'all think about them trying to come out and regulate now. Good old Delta-8.
Better late than never.
They're making it illegal. Does that make you feel better?
I mean, it always has been illegal, and now they're just finally realizing that it actually is. So good for them for finally coming to the light. You know, it's Delta-8 presents a major public safety risk to our children. So I ask everyone, what about the children?
Well, and I was just actually speaking with a friend last night, Bo Whitney from Whitney Economics, who was telling me that the Delta-8 market in Florida alone right now is over $10 billion.
Wow.
That's
For
crazy.
about 70 cents, you can buy a can of soda, regular or diet.
What about the children?
In Ethiopia, for just 70 cents a day,
What
you can
about the
feed a
children?
child
That's
like
what we
Jamal
want.
nourishing meals. For about 70 cents, you can also buy a cup of coffee.
Yes.
In Guatemala,
That's right.
for 70 cents a day, you can help a child like
What
Vilma get the
about the
clothes she
children?
needs to attend school. For about
Are you done now?
What the fuck?
Yeah, we're talking about saving the children, bro. Yep. DEA is now saying that Delta-8 is going to be under their jurisdiction, and they're going to clap back on it. I wonder how long it's actually going to take them to clean up all the Delta-8 mess in every single liquor store and gas station across the country.
I wonder how long you're going to have DEA out there pushing packs behind the scenes. You're going to be buying your off-brand DEA products from a undercover DEA agent. May bring you in if you don't pay the proper price.
Wearing aviators, looking like Joe Biden.
It should be interesting. I don't see raids and all that stuff happening over this.
You don't
I think this is a lot of paperwork.
Why don't you think they're going to raid anybody, Gretchen?
Who?
Why would
They have the manpower to go and do this, to go and try and shut down Delta-8 operators?
100%. They're going to go and bust down all the hemp distribution facilities that are bootlegging all this product, all this snake oil.
I'm gonna say something that probably.
One question. I wonder, would this fall under Rohrabacher Farr?
Nope.
Why not?
Because it's hemp.
What was that, Governor?
It's hemp, and Robar covers medical and adult.
It's in medical states, so I'm saying in medical states, I think they could get away with it.
I don't think they can. I don't think they can. I'm not buying that. I don't think Roebuck or Farr would fall under this. I do think there is a way that someone could skew it to make it fall under that, because I think they could go and try to say that it is a cannabis plant as opposed to a hemp plant.
Right.
And they're all the same thing, and under the Controlled Substances Act.
And if they're a licensed hemp operator, the rule stipulates it's for licensed operators.
But it specifically speaks to medical cannabis. It does not mention anything in regards to hemp, and since all the regulations are in regards with hemp, that's why I'm saying I don't think that it would.
I disagree, because I think anyone's going to make the argument that Delta 8 can be used medically too.
I think you could make that argument. I think you could, but whether or not it's going to fall on deaf ears is a whole nother question.
Wildstar, what you got?
I was going to say that I know that this is going to set everybody that's pro-regulation and government control, but what happened to free choice? I mean, Congress is really wasting time with all of this. All of these legislators are wasting taxpayers' money trying to regulate and control people making the free choice to go out and buy these products. Businesses making the free choice to offer these products. Whether we think they're harmful or whatever the case may be, you can make the same argument for cigarettes, for alcohol, for whatever sin, tax, you feel like the government should be controlling as a product for people to, again, freely consume. What about that part?
Amen.
I don't know, Governor, when you became the governor of Fantasyland, but that is not how this works.
Freedom land.
And I'm saying, and they're not regulating this. My hope is they're not regulating this to make it strictly illegal. They're regulating it because of the children, to make sure that consumers and patients are getting safe products. Should Delta 8 not be tested, Governor?
In Central America,
it shouldn't be tested. I'm saying that if it does, allow the free market to do so instead of spending taxpayers' money, wasting our money on doing such a thing, to regulate for something that somebody is going to go out and buy, regardless of whether it's been tested or not. I don't care whether my weed has been tested or not, honestly, because I'm going to go to a place where I know I trust, and the providers there will give me something where they know I'll come back and buy more, So that's the way the free market works.
I approve this message.
I hear you, but there are plenty of other people out there who do not have that trusted source that they go to. And so if they go to a legal shop, they should be able to know that product is tested. That's all.
Let an independent organization, free from the government,
farmers market,
free from public funds, create that atmosphere and that opportunity.
Farmers market.
I think we should really ask our resident Delta 8 resident
connoisseur,
expert, Stone Slade, what
Rico Lamitte.
Yeah, what do you think about this?
Hey, listen, I'm all for take down the Delta 8. If states want to decide to regulate it and let their state, make it available to their people, that's fine. I just don't think it never should have been able to jump the line before cannabis and being legal. It's not a safe product. And kind of leading into my story, I bet you if they take D8 off the shelves, the high numbers of pediatric hospital visits because kids are getting into people's edibles will go way down.
That is very true. I would totally agree with that statement, Mr. Slade. I totally agree with that. But we have to go to a commercial. That was a fascinating story. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Gretchen. You always stir it up with all that rhino-ness you got cooking over there.
The reality I've got cooking over here.
Run that commercial.
Republicans were anti-taxation.
Yeah, she's a rhino Republican.
I'm not trying to tax it. I'm trying to test it.
Control.
That should be a T.
Keeping up to date on the evolving policies of relevant state, local, and federal governments is key to success. When the future of your business is at stake, you need representation as dedicated as you are. With a maze of laws and regulations surrounding cannabis, hemp, and psychedelics, knowing where to begin can be a challenge. Good Thing the Law offices of Omar Figueroa features a skilled, highly focused team ready to guide you through it all. They're accepting new clients in California and New York. So make sure you check them out at info@omarfigueroa.com.
Oh, yeah. If you would kindly please smash that like button. Also, too, make sure that you're subscribed if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube page already. And make sure you head over to our website, www.highat9news.com. Make sure you check out the amazing merchandise selection that we have curated for you guys to be able to rock High at 9 News everywhere you go. Also, while you're there, make sure you sign up for our newsletter. And when you do sign up for our newsletter, you will get a confirmation email in your inbox, or it may go into your junk box, but you do need to hit confirm subscription right away, and then you will be subscribed to the High at 9 News newsletter. And of course, always we want to thank all of everyone watching the show, all of our audience every day. And we want to encourage everyone, if you really want us to pay attention to your chats in the chat box, make it a super chat if you want to be heard today. Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated.
In the industry aiming lower and lower, this Lone Star State superstar always takes the high road. And he's always hitting the high road too. And he is the host of the show of the same damn name. Y'all know who it is. Coming to the stage next, Stone Slade.
Thank you there, partner. No, I was throwing some Texas there. Anyway, today my story comes out of the great state of California. One of the go-to fear grenades in the prohibitionist propaganda war chest is the good old "what about the children" cry. And this tried and true method has gotten Americans from both sides of the aisle in a frenzy over things like the annual scare that someone actually wants to give their pot to your little trick-or-treater, or to trying to convince the public that dispensaries make it easier for underage kids to obtain cannabis. Both, of course, completely untrue. In today's "what about the children" moment, California State Assembly member Jackie Irwin believes that the state failed to explain the meaning of a law pertaining to cannabis packaging. With the passing of Prop 64 in 2016, California law concerning cannabis packaging only says that packages and labels shall not be made to be attractive to children. However, without any clarification on what exactly that means, there have definitely been a few brands that have some brightly colored, cartoony branding and packaging. Irwin believes that that some of this product packaging is leading to children being accidentally exposed to cannabis. She has introduced Assembly Bill 1207 into the California State Assembly to remedy that problem. In an official explanation of the bill, she wrote, "Since the passage of Proposition 64, pediatric exposure to cannabis has increased exponentially. These exposures are heavily influenced by the use of features on cannabis product packaging that are explicitly attractive to children." Irwin went on to say that children who unintentionally consume cannabis consistently require poison control treatment, and in many cases, they can also expose their fellow elementary and middle school peers to cannabis. Now, Irwin intends to define exactly what attractive to children means in AB 1207 by including the use of images of cartoons, toys, robots, fictional animals, real or fictional humans, any likeness to images, characters, or phrases that are used to advertise to children, the use of brand names or imitation of brand packaging of cereals, sweets, chips, or other food products typically marketed to children, and the word candy in any variant, such as spelled with a K or a K with a double E ending. Additionally, the bill will also prohibit the flavoring in cannabis vapes, specifically any artificial, synthetic, or natural flavoring other than the natural flavor or aroma of cannabis. Now, the bill did pass the Assembly's Business and Professionals Committee by a vote of 13-0, and right now it sits in the Appropriations Committee, awaiting a decision later today on whether it'll move forward for an Assembly vote. I understand my opinion here may or may not be a popular one, but hear me out. I completely agree that the bill, that there needs to be clarification on the law on packaging. And there's a couple Captain Obvious pieces of that bill that I do agree with. But I think overall, AB 1207 is a little too much overreach and severely misses the mark. It's not going to affect the products that they're actually aiming for, because those aren't even legal products. From the explanations given by the assembly member to the pictures of Trap Pack candy and mainstream reporting of this story, it's obvious that the packaging that we're talking about didn't come from legal cannabis businesses. It's coming from the thriving illicit market that grows stronger every day because your local, state, and federal cannabis taxes are choking out legal cannabis businesses. Legal cannabis products are safely locked away at our neighborhood dispensaries, even more out of your children's view and reach than alcohol or tobacco, and are sold in child-proof packaging, no matter what picture is on the package. Now, you're going to severely limit packaging and logo designs for legal cannabis companies when the culprit you're aiming at isn't even a legal regulated product. You're going to completely prohibit the use of images of cartoons, robots, fictional animals, real or fictional humans. Many adults appreciate the artwork that some brands feature on their packaging, but this blanket ban could affect that because of the use of fictional animals, or because of use of a fictional animal, or it could be considered a cartoon by somebody. This immediately made me think of the story Rico did a while back on the people from the heavy metal cartoon movie getting into cannabis in the Massachusetts market. I love that artwork. It's technically it's cartoon artwork. It has fictional animals on it, and it's not really even meant for kids, but that would be affected by this bill. The real issue here isn't legal cannabis brands marketing to lure your children into like some kind of weird Pied Piper of pot. The real issue here are the absolute worst kind of cannabis consumers, negligent parents not being responsible with products in their homes that aren't meant for children. It's common sense, people. Educate your kids, hide your stash, and quit making responsible cannabis consumers look bad. I'm Stone Slade reporting for the High at 9 News Hour.
Thank you, Slade.
Stone. I really don't understand how they get this whole we're marketing to children thing when children aren't even allowed in these stores.
Exactly.
It is the most ridiculous, dumbfounded overreach of government regulation, almost maybe possibly in the history of government.
I agree with you.
This is also you're silencing artists as well, man.
Censoring artists.
How are you going to brand anything? You can't have it two ways. If you want this to be an economic boon, it has to be appealing. Bright colors, right? Like how many kids like anime? How many kids like manga? Like those Japanese animated characters with big boobs and all that stuff. Those are out in the market. Are they railing against them? Like, or are they just picking on cannabis here? That they need to be spending their time putting forward more licensing.
Today, you can help a child like Maria, who received an operation to restore her sight.
Right? If you want to control the messaging that teachers have in the classroom and get them to stop saying stuff all the time, and you're going to be censoring all of the products that go and hit the market, like what are we really paying taxes for, Governor?
For you to be told what to do as free people in a free country. I mean, I think we already talked about this before, maybe one time, and when we were discussing flavored tobacco or flavored cannabis products, whatever, and the ban of that here in the state. But for them to speak specifically of marketing to kids is ridiculous. Jason is correct in saying that, because kids are not buying these products. It is what Stone said. It is irresponsible parenting. I'll tell you one time of a story. I went to give a kid that I was hanging out with a gummy. A gummy.
Hanging out with kids, man. You're just hanging out with kids on the block.
It's a family thing. You know what I'm saying? Kids all around and shit. And I went to get a kid a gummy bear, and he was like, "These aren't adult gummies, are they?" And I looked at the kid like, "Man, what the heck? Where you get that from, dude?"
Stranger danger.
The kid's parent, the father has drug problems, like real hard meth head drug problems, and that's how the kid ended up getting his hands on these said gummies. So yes, it is irresponsible parenting that's leading to kids ending up with these products in their hands.
You know,
Whether they be cannabis, whether they be tobacco or alcohol related or whatever the case may be. But changing the packaging isn't going to help that, because you do have other products that are sold to adults only that are using, colorful marketing and labeling and characters or whatever the case may be. So what are you going to do? Make this generic across the board, demand for packaging to look a certain way, and who's going to define that? I mean,
they should regulate. If they would, they need to bring that same energy to regulating the sugar industry, because the sugar industry is the worst threat to America and American health.
Nickolas,
we care about the kids so much, though, right?
Yeah.
All day, every day, they want to use that to tell grown adults
Nickolas,
what to do.
Nickolas, just to touch on your point, okay? To my understanding, Canada has the same problem, and they have all opaque packaging and don't allow for any branding or anything on any of their packages, but yet they still have the same problem. So this is not the solution to that, even in the first place.
Look at that. See? So we have an example of countries that have already implemented that.
Exactly.
Or maybe even states, here in our country that have done that, and they still have that problem. So what are we paying for, grown adults? We're paying for other grown adults to take our money, to do research, to tell us, don't do this, when we know it's not working. Control over the situation doesn't make things better. What does is the freedom for us to just do as we please, and then we can fine tune and see those bad, characters, those culprits, and then that's how we can pinpoint and crack down on the real criminality that happens in an industry, no matter what it may be. Cannabis, alcohol, fruits and vegetables,
food, hair, clothing, a chance to go to school, or whatever is needed most.
Gretchen, what's your thoughts on this, Gretchen? Should they do more or should they do less?
And you can reach out to one of them by sharing.
I'm gonna wait for this bullshit to stop.
That shit.
I agree 100% with Stone. I mean, this is just, it's silly. Clearly the people who are the bad actors are not the legal market, and I don't know when the last time I saw a school bus of kids roll up to the dispensary for a tour and, go in and buy their product. So I don't know where they're getting this stuff from. I totally agree 100%, although I don't necessarily agree with the governor on, let be, because, we're all adults here and we can handle it. I mean, this country has proven time and time again they can handle it. But bless your heart, Governor. I wish I had the optimism that you did in the American public to just get it right.
We should live free,
I know.
Property is his property. Mm-hmm. Taxation is immoral because you're pretty much charging people to live when nobody has that authority. We don't have a king. We don't have a queen. We should not be paying tax on the land just to live. And that's actually what our Constitution says, the Declaration of Independence, which says you have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
That's right. You don't have the right to be happy, just the right to pursue it. Just remember that.
Absolutely.
Just remember that. And with that, we got to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back.
How's it going, guys? Saman Razani coming to you from Green Street here with Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast available on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify? Tune in now and check it out.
Oh, yeah. Coming up next, it's the governor himself. That's right, Nickolas Wildstar. He represents the black conservative voice that Joe Biden would love to just silence you for, even acknowledging it exists. That's right. Here to change the narrative today is the governor, Nickolas Wildstar.
What's up, everybody? Singapore on Wednesday hanged another citizen for trafficking cannabis, the second in 3 weeks as it clung firmly to the death penalty despite growing calls for the city-state to halt drug-related executions. The 37-year-old man was executed after his last-ditch bid to reopen his case was dismissed by the court Tuesday without a hearing, said activist Kokila Anamale of the Transformative Justice Collective, which advocates for abolishing the death penalty in Singapore. The man, who was not named since his family asked for privacy, had been imprisoned for 7 years and convicted in 2019 for trafficking around 3 pounds or 1.5 kilos of cannabis, she said. His bid to reopen his case was based on DNA evidence and fingerprints that tied him to a much smaller amount, which he admitted to possessing, but the court rejected it, she added. Under Singapore laws, trafficking more than a pound of cannabis may result in the death penalty. If we don't come together to stop it, we fear that this killing spree will continue in the weeks and months to come, she said. Some 600 prisoners are on death row in the city-state, mostly for drug-related offenses, she added. Singapore executed 11 people last year for drug offenses after a 2-year hiatus due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The hanging of one particular Malaysian, believed to be mentally disabled, sparked an international outcry and brought the country's capital punishment under scrutiny for flouting human rights norms. 3 weeks ago, Singaporean Tanggaraju Sepia, 46, was hanged in the first execution this year for trafficking a kilo or 2.2 pounds of cannabis, although he was not caught with the drugs. Prosecutors said phone numbers traced him as the person responsible for coordinating the delivery of the drugs, which he denied. Human rights groups British mogul Richard Branson and the United Nations have urged Singapore to halt executions for drug-related offenses, as increasing evidence shows the death penalty is ineffective as a deterrent. But Singapore authorities insist that all prisoners get due process of law and that capital punishment remains part of Singapore's comprehensive harm prevention strategy, which targets both drug demand and supply. Apart from Singapore, Amnesty International said Indonesia carried out 112 drug-related executions last year by firing squad after a hiatus since 2016. In contrast, neighboring Thailand has legalized cannabis, while Malaysia has ended the mandatory death penalty for serious crimes. Reporting for the High 9 News Hour, this is Nick Wildstar, a.k.a. the Governor. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
What was that high number you said, Nickolas?
For what?
You said they had 156 executions.
112 drug-related executions last year by firing squad. And that was in Indonesia. But as far as Singapore, they've killed 11 people in the last year.
You know,
Tragic.
I know Donald Trump right now is eyeing the whole cannabis vacuum that has been left open by Joe Biden. But then on the other side, he's thinking about that dictator button. He wants to push it too. Will he go fully the opposite direction and say he's going to start executing cannabis entrepreneurs?
He did say that.
Yes.
He did say that, Jason.
He wanted to go with Duterte before.
He wanted to go the Philippine president route.
Stop.
You know?
Trump did not say that. Trump is talking
Yes,
about
he did. Duterte. He's doing well over there.
Please fact check
He's polling well.
Yes,
90% approval rating. Duterte.
If you guys don't want to believe BS, then keep on believing it. You know, ain't no one here.
Donald Trump absolutely said that all drug dealers should be executed.
And
he did not specify cannabis, but he did say drug dealers
selling fentanyl, because that's what the whole conversation was in regards to previously.
Well, the man needs to be more specific.
Exactly.
He needs to choose his words.
I'm sure he surrounds himself with the best people, and I'm sure they're telling him that fentanyl is part of marijuana.
You obviously.
Okay, so do we not have the right to life, as people, as human beings on this planet, to say we should be free to consume a product and not be put to death because of it? And that's what they're dealing with over there in Singapore. I mean, thank God we're here in America, but again, there's certain states throughout our country that are that way. California has, people on death row, but we've stayed executions or whatever. If another governor comes along and say we want to pick that up, then guess what? We got a lot of people getting killed here. And that's what's happened throughout our country is as soon as you get a dictator put in place to say, I'm going to kill somebody for not doing what I want them to do, then we are living under a dictatorship. We are not living in a free country, and we are not people to able to exercise our liberties freely, without any persecution. We're supposed to have a government that's supposed to be a representation. It's supposed to be a republic. The government's supposed to represent us and our choices. They do not. So what are we going to do to say enough is enough?
Speak out about it, man. And just on a lighter note, Jason, what do you call a penis-shaped potato?
Oh God,
a dictator.
Oh boy, here we go.
Dope dad jokes.
Gretchen,
that note.
I like that one.
You like that one?
That wasn't terrible.
Like dictators?
I've heard worse.
Dictator tots coming to a basket near you.
Hey, Bud.
All right. Thank you all out there for joining us today for another episode of High at 9 News. You can always catch us weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to the super fans showing love, getting their comments projected live on the big screen. Also to the live audience members and online supporters catching us across all media platforms, tuning in for the daily headlines of chaos known as the developing cannabis industry. Our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respected opinions to the table. Our production team, Cloud Media Partners, House of Fuego, The Vortex, The 91 Club, and all of our sponsors out there helping us keep the lights on, keeping our AV struggles to a minimum. And of course, the lovely Jaja Simone holding us all the way down over in Clubhouse. To the haters out there, we love y'all with all of our hearts, but we hope that you trip up and bust your face today. Always. Cannabis Sativa L. The reason the High 9 News team shows up and does this every single day. Thank you. It is Thursday, May 18th, 2023. The show is over and you've all been blessed with today's top industry headlines. Hope it was enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until tomorrow. My name is Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street, with your daily reminder that when life gives you no place else to turn, you can always turn the fuck up. And today, we're going to have Stone Slade. What we got for the outro today, man? What we got for these people, man? Give them some messages.
Yo, big thank you to that whole crew that helped makes this shit happen behind the scenes. I've never said that out loud. I want to say it today. And people, don't wait for shit to happen. Get out and make it happen. I love you. Thank you, guys. Pants are awesome. Oh, you can't see them.
I thought we were going to have a Snapchat session coming up here. I don't know what else going to transpire too, but
the child of developing countries, boy, the good it can do is worth more than you can imagine. Why don't you call this toll-free number right now to learn more about TCF? As a sponsor,